Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on The Lost King, based on a true story starring Sally Hawkins and Steve Coogan about a woman, an ordinary woman, who finds King Richard III. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's The Pineys, books 1 through 9, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Thanks for coming out to the Willingboro Library today. I will be at Nerdfest tomorrow from 10 to 4, and that will be in Swedesboro. I believe it's a Holiday Inn. So stop on by if you can. Now, this woman is an archaeologist who, I don't know, she gets to a fight at work or something. They turn it into a whole mansplaining thing, but she decides that she's going to look for Richard III. And thankfully, she's got a stable home life, and she starts looking. And of course, she sees Richard III, follows her around, and she talks to the ghost, and she reads all the books about him, and eventually determines where she thinks Richard was buried. And nobody believes her, of course. She eventually determines it's a car park. Right there is where he's buried. And she tells people, and they don't believe her, and she puts everything on the line for poor Richard III. And then she eventually gets the area dug up, and they find him, and she is touted as a hero, an archaeological hero, I guess you could say. A woman who found her voice and then found a king is the way they're touting it. I mean, look, it's a nice story. Is this really about women? Is this really about not believing women? Look, you could have told the same exact, and I understand it's true. You could have told the same exact kind of story with a man, and it would have played the same, right? Because this is what happens. People don't believe. They just get stuck, right? Oh no, we don't know where Richard is. He's lost in time, and they just don't go after things like this. So, Steve Coogan is not the main character. He plays the husband, so he's more of a support role here. He's a great actor. I don't know why he doesn't get to do more comedies, but good on him getting some work, I guess. So, I mean, you know pretty much the whole story. Here she is taking her kids to go see Richard III, the play, which, according to the Britannica article I read, Richard III kind of gets a bad rap. He really wasn't that bad, but that's the way he's portrayed in sort of modern culture because of Shakespeare and a few other people. So this will be pretty standard, like first act. The woman is frustrated in her life and in her work, and she's got a supportive husband and wonderful kids, but she just can't seem to get ahead. It's a man's world. Darn. And then she gets fired or quits, I don't know, demoted. So she's stuck at home, and this is like 2012. And she says, you know what? I'm going to read about Richard III. I'm going to find Richard III for whatever reason. Maybe that's part of the argument that got her fired or she quit. So she starts reading about it, and she gets obsessed over it a little bit. Starts seeing Richard III, starts talking to him. He's not really there, of course, but you know, it's just in her head. And eventually she starts putting all the pieces together, and the reason is, they say in the trailer, is no one saw everybody. There were people who saw each individual piece, but nobody had them all together to look at them as a whole. And this is true. You know, when you look at something, each person that looks at something in a new perspective can sometimes just see something that other people miss. I desperately wanted to be an archaeology minor in college, but we didn't have an archaeology minor, unfortunately, or there was some reason I couldn't take it. So I ended up anthropology. But I did take anthropology or archaeology courses too. And I had a professor, and he was one of these guys. He would go up into a helicopter to look for new sites. And the reason you could do that is if you went up at the right time when the shadows were long, what you would see from the sky is when there were buried ruins, where the grass grew over the ruins, the grass would grow shorter because the roots couldn't go down as far. And where there was no ruin, the grass would grow longer. And so what would happen is the right time of day when the shadows were long, you could be up in the helicopter and look down, and you would see the outlines of ruins on these farm fields. And that's how he found a bunch of ruins. So it's that sort of insight, that sort of different perspective that sometimes allows you to solve something that otherwise people, just keep missing year after year. And, it's the same old story. The stodgy, status quo people are like, no, 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 no one can find Richard the Third. That's silly. Well, you're being silly, ma'am. I don't think it's about being a woman. But whatever, if that's the angle you want to take. But it looks like a good movie. I mean, I find it interesting because of history. I don't know if 2 hours. I don't know if it really is sustainable for 2 whole hours. Hopefully, it's closer to 90 minutes. Here's the write-up. In 2012, having been lost for 500 years, the remains of King Richard III were discovered beneath a car park in Leicester. The search had been orchestrated by an amateur historian. Oh, she was a historian, Philippa Langley, whose unrelenting search had been met with incomprehension by her friends and family and with skepticism by experts and academics. The Lost King is a life-affirming true story of a woman who refused to be ignored and took the country's most eminent historians, forcing them to think about rethink about one of the most controversial kings in English history. So yeah, it's about challenging the status quo. It's about challenging the people get locked into their things and they think they know what they know. We're all guilty of it to some degree or another. I wouldn't not include myself in that at certain times, but you have to be willing to keep an open mind about certain things, especially things regarding science and archaeology, which is why you shouldn't just blindly obey authority figures all the time. For instance, if there was, I don't know, some recent medical thing, I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyhow, The Lost King looks kind of interesting to me. It looks like the kind of movie that'd be on A&E, but because you got Stephen Coogan in it, who's very good. I don't know the rest of the cast. Seems like it would be a good film, good little short film. Again, I would want it to be closer to 90 minutes than anything else. Doesn't seem to be a tremendous amount here, but it'd be nice to learn about Richard III. I guarantee you this will be a movie that'll play in schools all around the country. It'll be one of those movies that the teacher just puts on. Yeah, watch this movie. I don't feel like teaching today. And I mean, to some extent, that's good. I think the home life and the spin on it from the female angle may or may not be true. I don't know. I think people in the UK are a little more sensitive to that. But again, I don't think it was about her sex. I think it would have just as easily happened to a man who tried to do that. Oh, I'm going to look for Richard III. You're crazy. People will call you crazy if you don't do what the normal people do. Believe me, I know that. So don't be afraid to change things up. Also don't be afraid to listen to those voices too. I mean, some people go a little too far in that realm, but there's always a balance in life, I guess is what I'm saying. So would I see this? Yeah, I'd probably see it. I definitely would see it on streaming or whatever, afterwards. I don't know if I'd go to the theater. Maybe if I was in a movie mood and there was nothing out there, this would be sort of like a good movie to see, like in the middle of the week. I don't want anything too challenging or loud, or I just want some relaxing thing. That's probably why I'd watch it on streaming. I'd want to watch it at home, nice and cozy. That one of those. Maybe on a date, something low key with somebody. If I was dating somebody like super smart who would talk about history with me, that kind of thing. So, yeah, The Lost King. I think it could be good. I think it could be good. And I'm glad to see Steve Coogan is working. I'd really like to see him, however, do some more comedies. And that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more base takes. If you're not on Odysee, Bitchute, or Rumble, I don't know what to tell you. It's just a matter of time before YouTube boots me. I'm finally getting subscribers out the wazoo. And I know it's just a matter of time before YouTube goes, oh, who's this guy? Oh, this guy? Yeah, get rid of him. So please, just so we can keep in touch, make sure you subscribe to either Bitchute, Rumble, or Odysee, whichever one you like. I like all three of them. But, you know, whatever floats your boat. And see you at the Nerdfest tomorrow, possibly. And see you at the live stream tomorrow. Again, it's going to be late, probably in the evening. And we'll see you tomorrow.